Hello there, Max fans. This is another Max tutorial. This is number 11, the tutorial on tutorials. So, learning about learning. Max is a great program, and like many open source or community-oriented programs, it has a very robust system of self-help, and I wanted to demonstrate that today, a sort of pick you up by your bootstraps kind of thing that's available in it. So let's get a new patcher out here, Command N. We've got our new patcher. We'll bring it down here. We'll push the little information thing there. Okay, now we're all good to go. We come in here, we type the letter N, and we type multi-slider. And multi-slider has already popped up. So let's go ahead and select it. So now we get the visual multi-slider here, but it's not really doing anything yet. Just kind of being a generic multi-slider. Well, so let's imagine that we want to do something with the multi-slider. I'll have, we want to learn about it. And so what I'm going to show you today is how to access the tutorials. So let's go ahead, and you can come up here to the top, and under Help, you just come right on down here. Now there's two things you can get. One thing is the reference guide, and you click on that, and you get every imaginable thing that you could want to know about the multi-slider. Things to tell it, things to shadow alpha, I had no idea, and all sorts of things that you can tell it and messages you can send it. This is the exhaustive reference for it. Very, very helpful. I'm going to go ahead and close that because I want to show you how to get to the other thing, which is the user guide. So this is the user guide, and it's essentially full of useful information, but how does one learn to get around the user guide? Well, first of all, if your user guide doesn't look like this initially, you want to make sure that you've probably clicked on the house to get home in case it's somewhere else, and then there's three icons here, and you want to click the little blue person, because if you click this, then we're back to reference, more exhaustive references of every single object in Max. Let's go back to the user guide. All right, now in the spirit of the tutorial on tutorials, you will notice that the very first link here, I'm going to, I can't. I was going to change it to the lighter view, but let's just stick with this. This says, if you're new to Max, you might find it useful to read how to use this documentation. So we have the documentation on documentation in the tutorial on tutorials. I know, it's great. So let's go ahead and click on this, and this tells you about the documentation window and how to use it and what all of these things are. So if you forget what I'm more or less telling you today, then you can come back here and click on the user guide and then click on how to use the user guide, right? That all seems very straightforward. You'll also notice that we have the object reference. This is a detailed description of all the individual objects. Package documentations. We're not going to really use that yet because we haven't downloaded any. They're called packages. They're like groups of objects that have a specific purpose. But we do notice that you can click on examples and tutorials here, as well as other places if you go. Well, let's click on them. And it takes us online, and you'll end up getting to this page. So just hold that thought for a minute, because here we are. And we're noticing that this says Max Tutorials, right? But just for a minute, let's go back to that other page and go back to the user guide and say, look, if I want to go to that, and I don't want to learn how to use the documentation, this is where we were before, you can just come down here and say, oh, tutorials working with Max. Okay, great. And guess what? It takes us to Max Tutorials. Okay? Now, remember when we were holding our thought just a minute ago? I'm going to go back to that tab, Max Tutorials. Guess where it takes us? Yes, that is correct, to the same exact place. All right, so this is where you end up. It's online, and this has a very, very thorough number of Max tutorials, and you can see that instead of that now you're kind of like, okay, hello, bang, numbers and lists, Metro and toggle. Is this starting to sound familiar? Message, order, debugging. Aha. So these are a lot of the things that we've actually done already in the class. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, why am I taking this class when I could just go through these? Well, I'll tell you, actually, you will appreciate the class more as you realize that these things just go on forever. And so if you want to learn about something with some, in a broad sort of way, somebody has to guide you through it sort of quickly. And that is my job. But having said that, I am but a humble librarian who's essentially showing you how to find books in the library. And that's the reality of this kind of programming. All the information's out there already, but somebody has to kind of familiarize you with it and how to access it. So here we are. We're not going to go back through any of these things, but I did want to show you that if you decide to do a tutorial, for example, I happened to pick the multi-slider, which is like one slider that can turn into lots of sliders. And so let's say we want to now do a tutorial on data viewing. So I go ahead and I click this, and I see, data tutorial, data viewing, look, oh my goodness. And I know that this is what everyone has been waiting for. The part of the class where you can just read words to your heart's delight. You were saying to yourself, and I know it, where's the part where we read all the words? After all, this is a class. Well, here it is. You can read all these words. Or you can take the tutorial. Now you'll notice here it says, this tutorial references the patcher o1d dataviewing.maxpatch. And if you look up here, it says download series assets. So let's go ahead and click on that. And we've got the Max tutorial zip over here. Yes, I did it already over here just to make sure it would work. Let's go to that in the Finder. And I'm also going to open another Finder window down here. You'll see why in a minute. So it brought us to this Max Tutorials zip. You double click on it, opens, there they are, Max Tutorials, and these are all the patchers that they're going to use. Now, I decided I was going to put that in my Max document folder. So down here, I have documents, I have Max 9, and then I have all these folders. But I just want a tutorial folder so that, because this is like 20 tutorials here. So there it is, Max Tutorials. I know Max can find it because it's in the Max 9 folder, and here they all are. Now, we go back over here and try to remind ourselves what on earth this was about. So it says O1D dataviewing.maxpat. So we come back over here and we say O1D, it's the second one, O1D dataviewing.maxpat. And we click it open. And maybe I didn't click hard enough. There we go. Sorry, took a minute. Okay, so now I don't think we need this user guide anymore, which got us that tutorial. So we'll just close that. We can always get it back. We know how to do it. And now we have this lovely Max tutorial here. And look, it has labeled within it a multi-slider here, a multi-slider here, a multi-slider here, and I happen to know this is also a multi-slider here. What are they going to do with them? Well, sorry, we're supposed to be reading lots of words here. There you go. So now you read what to do, you know. We'll start with the patch labeled 1. There it is over there. 1 contains the counter, just like we have in our blah, blah, blah. We have in our timers, etc., etc. So essentially you turn this on and now it's going to keep fetching these various sliders when it's time to do that. This puts 16 of them in there. This puts, I think, puts 64 of them in there. And now I can come over here with my mouse and draw on the multi-slider. And the result is a series of notes that are sent out as MIDI. So it says make note, send it out as a note. And if you're trying to visualize how this is working, I'll do something easier like this. Right? Very low notes, and then going up the scale. Right? Great. So that is something that we have learned in our tutorial here, that is a multi-slider as a data generator. Great. So reading through this and doing this part, we can understand then how that works. I'm not going to go over it and over it here. I'm just going to leave that as something for you to think about. Then they say, oh, well, now a multi-slider for data viewing. And you look at this area and it tells you what to do. You turn on the Metro here. And you can find out what these things do by double-clicking on them, and you'll see what's going on inside them. And oh, well, I hadn't realized they were actually just tracking the mouse. I thought they were going to be listening to the music, but they're not. They're just tracking the mouse. So if I put my mouse down over here, well, now I can't point, but if you look at the two multi-sliders, you can see that the mouse is kind of going off the side of one a little bit. And then if we go over here, you can see that these, I'll circle around them just at the moment, but you realize very quickly that they're actually tracking the mouse. So that's exciting. Which also means I can turn off the music. So now we see that we can use multi-sliders to track mouse movement and and we can even run the two multi-sliders together to a dynamic multi-slider here that's almost like an EKG that's watching what the mouse does. So it's probably the X of one, the Y of the other, the Y of one, the X of another. So there it is. And we don't need to learn this right now. My real point is that if you want to do a tutorial on it and read lots of words, here is the tutorial for that multi-slider. So that is mostly what I wanted to show you about tutorials, how to access them, and then open them on your in Max so that you have the patcher that's opened from the series assets, and then you can read this. And just by the way, so you know, the series assets are for like all of these tutorials. So if you go to the next one and you say, okay, well, now I want to learn about data scaling, right? And you say, oh, this refers to O2 data scaling. Well, we jump back to the Max tutorials folder over here, and we say O2 data scaling. There it is. Click that open, and then we learn about how to scale data. All right, well, yet another exciting topic, but we don't need to tackle it today. I'm just letting you know that these tutorials are there, and they're all available for you. So if you're very excited about one aspect of Max, or you're trying to solve something, or you need something extra fancy, you can usually find it over here in the tutorial guide of Max. So this is available online, and you can reach it by using, again, your, whoops, I didn't go back to Max. Here we go. There's Max. You can do that and go to the user guide, and you can find the tutorials down here and get to them. So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you today. I am going to return in another tutorial with the trick of all tricks, but for now, this is the honest programmer's way to learn stuff within the Max community. So thanks for listening. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks.